this weekend, in case you're wondering. Yeah. Okay, so ready? You're going to hit stat edit. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. You're going to push stat edit. And then you're going to put the X values in L1. You're going to put the Y values in L2. So we're doing this for this first example right here. Okay? So I'm going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, because that's what I see in this left column. Notice I'm typing those into L1. Okay, and then on the right side, 23,000, etc. So it should look like that, just like you see in your calculator. Okay, so when you were in Algebra 1, you did this with lines, where you would try to find the line that best fits your equation. You also should have done it with quadratics to try to find a quadratic that fits. Okay, now you're going to learn how to do it with exponentials. I don't know if you learned this in Algebra 1, maybe you did. But you're going to push second. And then, never mind, not second. You're going to push stat calc. Okay, so I pushed stat again, and then I went over to calc in this middle column. So when you push it, it starts you here, you have to bump over one. And then you're going to scroll down to option, I think it's 0. Yep, right there. See where it says XPreg? That's exponential regression. Okay, so let's write that down. So, stat calc, scroll down to 0, EXPreg. And then you're going to press enter twice. So I'm going to push enter to choose it and then enter again. Okay, that's what I got. If your number's a little bit different than mine, probably one of us made a typo, but that's what you should see. Okay, so here's how you do it. Do you see this right here where it says y equals a b to the x? That's what that means. It's written kind of weird. You have a times and then the base up to the x. So when you take your numbers, you're going to put them in those spots. So my number in the front is going to be 22,999.93. So y equals 22,999,000.93. And then my base is going to be the second number that they gave me, but we're going to just keep going to 2 decimals. So if I look at my base decimal here, it's 0.9200. So I'm going to just put 0.92. And then up to the x. Okay? Then it says, how much will the car be worth at 5 years? Okay, well then from here, this is almost the same as last week. The only difference is how you're getting the equation. So I would want to plug in 5 into my time slot. And then I would type that in, see what I get. Now, I would not spend time going into the y equals and typing it in. You could do that, but if the time that you're plugging in isn't a decimal, or is a decimal, then that's not going to work anyway. So I would just type it in just like that in your calculator. So that means in the 5th year, if I were to extend my table, 5 would go with 15,158.83. So you're basically just looking at a future value based on the pattern that you've already seen. Okay, so I'm going to put that right here. It would be worth $15,158.83. Okay, then look at the next question. It says, okay, well, when will it be worth $12,000? You already know how to do this. Your numbers are just not as pretty as they were last week. So I'm going to take my $12,000. I'm going to set it right here. So it'd be 12,000 equals 22,999.93, 0.92 up to the x. And then think about how we solved these last week. What's step 1? Divide by 22,000. Okay, that's going to cross that right side out. And then to get rid of the 0.92, we're going to have to log both sides. So I have 12,000 divided by 22,999.93. Okay, that gives me my first number over on the left side. I got 0.52. And then if it's 0.92 is my base, then we're going to have to log 0.92 both sides. And then that'll cross out the 0.92, and then you'll have your answer. So alpha window 5, remember to pull that up. Hopefully we know how to do that since we took a test over it last week. 0.92 is your middle number, 0.52 is your big number. So it would take about 7.84 years for it to be worth that much. Okay? Alright, next one says if you're given data in the form of ordered pairs, okay, then you're just going to make your own table. Okay, so instead of them giving it to you in a table form, you're just going to make your own. So for example, here it says I have an exponential function that includes 2, 4, and 3/16. Well then 2, 4, 3/16, x, y, and then you type it in. Okay, this one we're only getting the equation for. You don't have to answer a bunch of questions about it. So let me walk you through the steps of how to clear out what's already in your calculator. You're still going to hit stat enter, but then you're going to highlight L2 and you're going to push clear enter. If you push delete, it's going to mess everything up, so don't push that. It's going to be clear on the heading and then enter, and it'll clear out the column. Okay, then go to L1, clear, enter, and then you just type in whatever points you want. So I want 2 and 3 on the left side, 4 and 16 on the right side. And then remember, it's stat calc. Then I go down to my EXP reg, which is exponential regression, and then push enter, and you should get your two numbers. Okay? Hello? She's not here right now, but she is in this class. Sure, thanks. Okay, so remember, the number in the front is going to be your, just keep pushing enter. Can I actually put yours up there to show? Okay, if yours pulls this screen up, you just have to push enter a few more times. So you just keep pushing enter till it, oops, crap, I pushed the wrong thing. Look, watch, stat calc, option 0. Then you have to go like enter, 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 enter. And it'll still give you the answer. You just have to push enter like 5 times instead of only pushing it twice. Okay, so my equation would be 0.25 in the front. 4 is the base, x up top. Now, I want to point out something different to you that hopefully you already remember. How do I know if this is growth or decay? What number do I look at? The one in the parentheses. This is a 4 base. That means that it's growth. Look at the example right before this one. My base was a 0.92. What is that one then? Decay. So you should still remember the difference with the models. If your number in parentheses is bigger than 1, that's a growth model. If it's smaller than 1, it's a decay model. Okay? All right, turn the page for me, please. All right, so it says, a scientist starts at time 0 with a sample of 200 grams of a radioactive element. At 2 hours, the sample is decayed to 162. So this is an example where we have to make our own table. So we're going to have x and y here. My time values are going to be at 0. How much was there? 200. And then at 2, how much was there? 162. And then with that information, I can fit an exponential model to match it. Okay, so second stat calc or stat edit. We're going to type it in. You can also just write over the numbers if you want to with the new numbers. The clear is just helpful if you have like a long list. And then make sure you do have to push enter after you type the new number in, or it could mess up. So 0 to 200, 162. Then remember it's stat calc option 0. You can scroll down to it or just push the number 0 if you want to off the list. Okay, so it'd be 200 and then my base is 0.9. Growth or decay? Good. Okay, now trick question. Maybe not that tricky. What percent is decaying every hour if your base is 0.9 or 0.90? What percent is coming off every time? 10%. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, 0.10. Because if it starts at 1 and I'm at 0.90, that means I'm taking off 10% each time. Okay, then it says how much at 5. You would plug in 5. You would type that in, so 200.90 up to the 5. Okay, just like that. Gives me 118 point, we'll say 10 there, grams. And then it says when will there be 60 grams? Grams is going to be your y equals in this case, so you'd be plugging it in on this side. And then from there, what would you do first? Divide by 200. 200's cross out. 60 divided by 200 gives me a whole number, or a decimal of 0.3. And then to get rid of the 0.90 base on the x, I have to log 0.90. Good. And then when you cross that out, you're typing in, remember it's alpha window 5, 0.90 is your base, 0.3 is your whole number. So it'll take about 11.42 years, or hours, or whatever it is. And then it looks like t equals 2 is in hours, so this would be hours as well. Okay? We are not going to do the bottom one just because it's the same. So take a look at your homework. Okay, I'm just going to review 1 or 2 off the top, and then the rest of it's exponential regression. So take a look at that first one. Okay, is it growth or decay? Growth. Okay, how do we know that it's growth? Okay, because your base is greater than 1. I'm going to put b equals 1.95. And then it says to say whether it's growth or decay and how it's translated. So look at the number there at the top. It's a -3. Which way does that translate our graph? To the right 3, and then what about the +4? So right 3, up 4. And that's all you're doing up there. Okay, let's do number 4. Just to get you started, it says y equals 1/2 up to the x plus 5. Look at your base. Growth or decay?
Okay.
Decay. Then I'm going to put my base is 1/2. We know that that's less than 1. And then all I have is a plus 5. Which way does that shift us? Up 5. Very good. So in that case, that one doesn't go sideways. It just only goes up 5. Okay. Okay, then 5 and 6, even though it's not a table, remember you're just going to make your own. Okay? So you do need a calculator to do this homework. So I would say make sure you get it done now, especially if you don't have one at home. Okay? And then if you need to see the steps, they're written out. Stat edit, type in your table, stat calc 0, enter, enter, enter. Okay? Alright, then the next 2 days we're just going to review. You won't have homework, and then you'll have your CBA on Thursday, and then you guys have a long weekend. Okay? Good job.